Hello, it's Mr. Ferguson here, and we're going to go through the long division method now, which is kind of an extension of our bust-up method, but there's quite a few more steps. So I'm actually going to go through two examples. We'll start with one that's a bit more straightforward. So we're going to lay it out as we would with our bust-up. We've got 22 going into 286. And remembering that language as before, how many of those go into that? How many 22s go into 286? And for my scaffold, it really does help to just jot down to work out that numbers times table. So 22 on the side, you could just write 22, 44, and you don't need to go all the way to 10. What I would suggest is maybe go up to 5, and then if you need more, you can then jot down some more down the side. So that jotting really does help with this. Another way of thinking about it is that, and they often give these in questions, you'll see that the number is quite close to a 10. So it's easy to roughly estimate that 22 is close to 20. So we're going to know how many roughly go into it. Because when we think about 22 and 28, I mean, this one's a slightly more easy one, but it does get a bit trickier. So 22 doesn't go into 2, doesn't fit. So we put a 0 there. And we're going to remember, like we did with our bust-up, it's just to sort of carry the remainder over. So actually the 22 is going into 28 now. And like I said, this one, 22, well, 40, there's 2 lots in 44. We're not going to get 2, it's only going to be 1. So what we do now is we actually are going to find the remainder, you just put the divisor, that's what we call it, the number that we're dividing by, underneath, and then we just do a subtraction calculation. And what we're going to end up with is 6. And then we're going to bring down the other digit. And you can draw a little arrow there. You bring down that digit and draw another little bust-up if you like. And now we've got 22 into 66. I've already done my times table facts, 22, 44, 66, so it'll be 3. Like I said, this one's a nice one, it fits nicely. Sometimes we're going to end up with a remainder, and like I said in the bus stop video, sometimes you might just write the remainder as it is, or you might decide to go into decimals. But for just the basic long division method, you know, a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number, obviously the digits I've chosen, the numbers I've chosen go in quite nice and snugly, so it's not too tricky. I'm going to go through another example where it might be a little, 4-digit number now, where we might have a slightly trickier number than 22. Okay, so we're going to look now at a 4-digit number by a 3-digit number, and as you can see, I've kind of picked a slightly harder number to divide by, 38. 22 is nice because 22, 44, 66, quite a nice pattern. 38 is a bit harder, yeah, and actually I'd really recommend just on the side jotting down that numbers times table. It does take a little while to figure it out, but once you've done that hard part, you then don't really need to think much about 38 times table as you're learning the method. So if I lay this out like I've done before with a bus stop, 4, 2, 5, 6, and we're dividing that by 38. So again, like as before, 38 into 4, we can't fit it. We need to remember to put that 0 there. It's important we put that 0, even though it doesn't really do anything. It just helps remember to make sure that the columns get lined up. And when we get into a long division, it's really important everything's lined up in the right columns. So now I'm going 38 into 42. I'm not sure I can fit 2 in there because I'm only 4 away from 42. So I think only one 38 can go into there. And like as before, we're going to then subtract 38, okay, from the 42, which gives us 4. And like before, I'm going to bring down my 5, bringing that down, and I've got a new sort of bus stop there. Okay, so now I'm going to do 38 into 45. And this is where it gets a bit tricky because your eyes are, there's lots of digits happening. But if you draw that new bus stop there, 38 into 45, okay, now I can see there's only one going to fit in there. And what I've got to remember to do, what children need to try and remember to do, is then line that column up and put that 1 back at the top of my original bus stop, because essentially it's, you know, 1 in that tens column. So now I've done that, I then do the same again. I'm going to subtract my 38 from my 45. That's going to give me a 7. And again, I'm going to bring down my 6, bringing down the next digit from the next column. And now I've got 38 into 76. Look at my scaffold, 1, 2. So I've got 2 38s into 76. So altogether I've got 1, 1, 2. 112 38s go into 4,256. Again, just to show an example, just so you can understand this method, we've only had to go to the 2 lots of 38. But you can just see this is how to show to lay this one out nicely, so that you can see exactly where we bring things down and how we go through step by step each column. So I hope that's helpful on that one. So here I thought I'd just show you one more example, because it can get tricky quite quickly, the long division method. I would say this is more leaning towards greater depth, but if you still follow those same steps, the reason it is trickier is because we have a few extra calculations. We've got a bit of more multiplication to do to check. We've got some trickier subtraction calculations to do. We've got a remainder. So there are just a few more things we've got to draw on, other parts of maths we've got to remember. Again, we'll lay this one out like we have before with a nice bus stop, 7, 4, 9. And already you can see the digits just a bit more awkward than we've had before, 7s and 9s. I can tell already that there's going to be larger amounts we're going to be dealing with, and also we're dividing by 51. However, if I look at my scaffold and we use our number sense, we can see that 51 is very close to 50. So I would suggest you kind of round it down to 50, just to see how many go into that number, and then we can then check with our short multiplication exactly how many go in. So that we know, oh, if it's about 4, then I can multiply by 4, and then I end up with the exact amount. I'll show you what I mean. So 51's going to 7, can't do it. So 7, 74, 51's to 74. Well, if I round it to 50, I know that 2 lots would be 100. So there's only going to be 1 fitting in there. Now what we have differently from before is that we now have a slightly bigger difference when we do our subtraction. So I'm going to do 4 take away 1, which would be 3, 7 take away 5, which would be 2, and then I'm going to bring down my 9. So I've now got a kind of new division fact to do, 51s into 239. And again, if I just round, use my rounding skills, I know that 51's about 50, and I'm at 239. So if I think 50, 100, 150, 200, 250 isn't going to fit. So I know that that's 4. And what I don't know is exactly what that is, exactly how many. So what I would do is I would just quickly jot down 51 times 4 as my short multiplication, 204. So that's going to be the amount that we subtract. And I can do that down here. 9 take away 4 would be 5. 3 take away nothing would be 3. 2 take away 2 is nothing. So we've now got 359. I'm going to bring down my 9 there. And again, we're going to do round it, count up, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350. I've got to 350, that's 7 lots of 51. So I pop that in there. I could also do this mentally, because 7 lots of 51, 7 times 50 would be 350, 7 times 1 would be 7, join those together, 357, and now I'm taking that away. And I'm then going to end up with 2 there, and that's our remainder. That's the remainder for this problem. So 147, remainder 2. So with this method, like I said at the beginning, the challenging part is just it's drawing on lots of other areas of maths. It's drawing on rounding, it's drawing on a bit of short multiplication, it's drawing on some subtraction. So there's quite a lot of steps in there. It's quite a lot of space to make mistakes, but essentially the method stays the same. How many go in, and then you bring down the amount from the next column. Okay. I just thought I'd quickly add this to the end of the video. I had a bit of a chat with Miss Richardson, and this is her way, and it's really nice. I like this ways of remembering the steps to our long division method. So first of all, you divide, then you multiply, subtract, bring down. So dangerous, monkeys, swipe, bananas. A nice way of remembering our long division method.